Well, that was more like a Rangers team we actually wanted to watch. I feel like we've been waiting for a result like that for absolutely ages, waiting for a result where we get, not only do we play some decent football, but we have that ruthless kind of aspect to us, no
Yeah.
willing to sit half the ball, a goal up or 2 goals up, which we've seen most other years. And let's be honest, every single goal came for a class piece of play.
Aye, the goals were well worked, and I think that's what we've been asking for, to be honest. I was saying, just 10, 15 minutes into the game, I'm like, oh, we're in for it today again. Like, we're only 3 matches into the
Aye.
season. I'm bored of watching Rangers play the same old way. But no, they were much more clinical up top today. But even, like you say, the passages they play leading up to the goals were so much better. We just looked more like a team, and look, above all else, man, we took our chances when they presented
Aye,
themselves, and it
100%.
couldn't come at a better time with like sort of one eye looking to the weekend and the upcoming Old Firm. Do you know what I mean? So there's no better way to go into an Old Firm, which we will certainly be underdogs for, I'm sure. But to go out and absolutely dust Ross County 6-0 is exactly how you want to prepare for an Old Firm.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's a result we definitely needed. I think Clement needed as well, because we weren't
Aye.
sure before this game the day if that was even in us, to be honest. We how disjointed we were in previous games up top, that and like the gap that was between that our forward line and our midfield, it was all just a bit disjointed. But I think that result there's probably got to do the players a world of good, and also, even when we're talking about specific positions, I think the confidence is there as well, because Matondo done his job really well today. I
He
know
did,
there's
aye.
rumours of him leaving. Dessers, I think, was up a wee bit at another level as
Yeah.
well. Like he looked very decent into 2 goals. I'd love to have seen him get his hat trick. Barron's just different gravy.
Can he misplace a pass? He's covering every blade of grass.
It's his. Every time, I said this during the game, every time he gets the ball, it's amazing how he can just make a ball safe in any situation,
Yeah.
whether that's opening his body up and turning it to danger, or just managing to keep control of the ball, shield the ball in the kind of tricky positions of the pitch where you've maybe got one or two
Yeah.
men marking you.
Made it
He's
enclosed.
incredible at it. But other than that, everybody else done their job and done it extremely well.
Aye, like you say, I mean, we're normally coming on and doing the podcast
Aye.
where we're singling out players to criticise them, the likes of Dessers, who we've criticised, the likes of Tavernier, but today it is a different tune, and you've got to look at some of the individual performances and say it's a massive improvement. I was against a kind of lacklustre Ross County side,
Aye.
and that, so the big test is yet to come.
How many
still
times have we
next
seen
week.
us go up against the lacklustre teams
And
and
fall to
almost
their level?
fall to their level,
Yeah.
and let them play their game and let them, gain confidence
Aye.
as time goes on? And the day we just never really let that happen.
No,
It was
look,
a
this
very
is
comfortable
this is
performance.
exactly what the fans needed. No another sort of 1-0, 100 missed chances and 100 what ifs, and really just the fans being left sort of puzzled after the games, thinking where the goal's going to come from. What are we trying to do here? Why is it no clicking? But at the end of the day, when it clicks for Rangers, that's exactly what they can do.
Aye.
Now, going back to Matondo as well, and Cherny on the right, I think those two natural wingers make a massive difference
Oh,
to the team.
100%.
Having two guys with pace and two guys who are direct in that position is really just a game changer. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
It puts the opposition defence on the back foot. You don't know if they're going to come inside, or Matondo especially. If he wants to go outside, anybody, they'll struggle to match him for pace, because that boy's got acceleration and pace. And now all we ask for with Matondo is that he can, if he stays at least, he can do it, and he can do it more consistently, because that's what we need off these players, is consistency, and that level of consistency.
100%, because we've used this term so often on the podcast, and it's I can do it but in spells, and I think that's what makes like a performance like this going on to next week, that's what makes it so much more important, because if we can see players playing at the level and with the kind of confidence, even though we are underdogs, we're never going to be able to, you're going to get to that Old Firm morning and look back in a performance like that and go, right, we can beat them, especially not to talk about them, but we don't know what's going to happen with us and them between now and that game coming up next week in terms of transfers as well. But we could have just laid off Ross County and kind of scraped by into
we could
next
have
week's
also,
Old Firm,
even we were 2-3-0 up, we could have took our foot off the gas, and that's not what we want to see here.
No.
We want to see the players just continuously going after teams, and that is what we go. And for the first time in a while, that's what we go to Rangers today. Like I says, it was pretty comfortable, and sometimes, as we've noted, when it's too comfortable for Rangers, you can really see it and it gets stagnant. But another thing as well, obviously, when Big Balogun got the knock in the air, he's went off injured, and Diamande comes on the park, and I think you see a difference in the Rangers team as well when obviously I don't know if he's picked up a knock or Clement's just trying to protect them for the upcoming Old Firm game, but I really think that's going to be a key area of the park with Barron and Diamande. Obviously, again, I think Lawrence played well today. We all know Lawrence's weakness. He's maybe the fittest guy in the team. He's the fastest guy in the team. But technically, his passing ability, his ability to shoot for the edge of the box, they're his strengths. And that's what you notice with Lawrence. I mean, the wee spin where he slips in Dessers for the... I don't know if it's one of the goals, I think, it led to a goal, but the turn and the through ball is just magnificent, and that's what you can get off of a Tom Lawrence. And again, that's the sort of... we need to see that level of performance for him as well, on a more consistent basis.
And to be honest, let's be honest, I would still like to see us go out there for another number 10, ideally.
Of course.
But I mean, it doesn't really seem to be happening. There's a lot of rumours floating about, but none seem to be that number 10 position. And to be honest, with the looks of it, I think Clement fancies Tom Lawrence to be a mainstay in the team. And listen, he has his moments of magic, but at the end of the day, I still think he needs to prove himself over a certain distance at the kind of performance we've seen today, because as we said, he's another player that you could point to and say he's got his moments and he's got his wee spells of brilliance, but then again, we've seen far too many games where the game's just kind of played round about him. And
like we've said for a couple of weeks, I mean, it's got to be this. I would argue that it's the strongest part of our team at the moment is the Barron, Diamande and Lawrence trio in the middle. And I think, again, it's going to be a massive test, and that this is where you'll see whether the likes of Lawrence is going to step up to the plate next week, where they're not going to, dominate the ball as much as they did the day with 75%, 80% possession or something like that at times. The game's going to be played at a faster pace, and it's going to be a lot more physical. So that's what we spoke about leading up to every Old Firm, is the fact that games are won and lost around about that midfield 100%. Area. So they're going to be taxed next week, and it's whether they can rise to the occasion again away from home in front of all their supporters. This is the big test, but there's no better way to sort of prepare for it than that result today. It
raises the confidence. As I say, like, I feel, in terms of a midfield battle, I feel strangely more confident this season going into an Old Firm in terms of that midfield battle than I have in previous seasons. Obviously, Lundstrom and Barron essentially have the same job within the team. You know what I mean? That commanding midfielder drops back, links up with the centre backs, the defensive line as well. And to me, I just see much more energy at Barron. I see much more hunger, and rightfully so, because he's a young player and he's got a lot to prove. But there's something about it feels like, well, there's a solid chance we're going to have a much better chance of taking a decent, chunk out of Celtic's midfield.
And another thing as well, and this is crucial because Lundstrom's let us down with this on a couple of occasions, especially when things get heated. Like, Barn looks, he's hard, he's aggressive, but he also just looks like a cool head on the park,
Aye,
man.
100%.
Something that we've really been missing for that midfield. I mean, think of the amount of misplaced passes and flops and fumbles we've had in our midfield when it comes to the big games, when the pressure's on. But Barn, for me, looks like he's already outshone John Lundstrom in that position.
Aye,
Do you know what I mean? And so, what a difference he's made. So I think it's going to be massive. It's going to be massive for him as well. Do you know? But simply, he's been commanding this midfield. He can't misplace a pass.
No.
Whenever he gets on the ball, he's good. He's good, and he's comfortable at going forward and backwards with the ball. I mean, how many times have we says that our midfielders are just choosing the easy pass, the less risky pass going back the way? And I think Diamandi's, a similar out to Barn as well in terms of his ball retention and finding a blue jersey. So it's great, do you know what I mean, to have they two players right in the centre of the park where crucial battles are won and lost.
Obviously, we know for a fact we need folk out the door before the transfer window comes to an end. Also, they're looking at like Shadil, we're going to, and Matondo's in that list as well. Don't know if MD's mind's changed after that performance. For me, nah.
But I don't know, man, because it's a difficult one with Matondo, because I think he's so threatening at times.
Yeah, I know.
Do you know what I mean? But again, he's been here for that long and he's just no done that consistently. So that's the big risk with keeping him, is that he just sort of, falls a level or two again and back to the Matondo we're used to. But I mean, look what he done in that the 3-0 draw. He cuts inside. He does it back-to-back weeks where he cuts inside, scores a world, and then a game like today where he's just unplayable, honestly. He's got so much pace and he's so direct at times that I think it's a real threat to have. But like I say, I think most Rangers fans will be with you in this, that Matondo's got to go. But for me, I understand that, but it's a bit of a harder decision than just let's get shot of him, because like I say, when you've got a natural, and he's a natural left winger, when you've got a natural left and right winger, it completely changes the momentum of your team going forward. And I think we've seen that today clearly.
So also by the time the old firm rolls round, it's going to the end of the transfer window. Like, what positions would you like to see filled within that starting 11?
Honestly, I don't know exactly, but I'll say one thing, and this is probably the most frustrating thing. It doesn't matter what positions we bring players in, if we even do, because they won't even see the first Old Firm game, unfortunately.
That's true.
Do you know what I mean?
Even in terms of the course, leaving the transfer market, is there a certain positions being filled where you think, right, well, I'm kind of satisfied with the business that's been done after such a frustrating transfer?
No, I think definitely having a number 10, but like you say, there's no clear speculation or rumours or talk is bringing in a number 10, which I think is a mistake, honestly, because, I mean, who are you going to get to fill that position if Lawrence ends up getting injured, which, it doesn't look like he's exactly got season-long endurance on him, and you need to take him off after 65
that's the thing.
minutes. So.
I think we need the wide players as well is a must.
Especially if Matondo, I mean, it's easy for me. If Matondo goes, then I think you're going to need to bring in backup as well.
Aye.
Obviously, Cortez is out for a number of months, I'm sure, actually, with quite a bad injury. And with then again, does he just push Hefty forward into that left wing? But you don't really want to be doing that, because I thought Hefty in his natural position at left back the day, played really well. So you would rather be bringing players in and putting them in the positions that they play than constantly having to chop and change and move players in and out of different positions all season.
Because I think that is the frustrating thing, and we're lucky we've got somebody like Sterling in there that can, basically play in whatever position you want to play in, and obviously it's almost
another centre back, to be honest, when it go amiss, because we're definitely a bit thin in the centre back region at the moment, and there's talks of obviously Ben Davies going out the door. So I wouldn't complain if we brought in another centre back. To be honest with you, right back is never going to happen, because it looks like Tavernier's staying, and you've got Sterling there for backup as well, who has hardly kicked the ball at right back, which is pretty unbelievable. So I mean, potentially another striker, but that, I suppose that's only going to
I just
depend on
wanna
whether
see-
Dessers or both Dessers and Danilo staying.
Aye.
Which again, it's hard to see. It's hard to see who's going to come in and who's going to
Well, I'm
go
pretty
with such
sure,
little time left in the transfer window.
I'm pretty sure Rangers agreed with, I think it was Atlanta United, a transfer for Dessers, but he didn't want to go, which to me, I mean, the MLS isn't really where you want to go when you're kind of that age in your career,
Yeah.
but it shows he's the most likeable thing about Dessers is he's hungry to play here. He wants to play here.
Aye.
He plays with, at the end of the day, whether it's frustrating or no, whether we're getting beat or no, he's always playing with a smile on his face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And every single time we've spoke about him, the main frustrating thing was his finishing. Because at the end of the day, you're a striker. You're only, jobs to score goals, but if he puts in a performance like he did, taking the chances that he did next week, instantly, let's be honest, he's a fucking hero.
Well, that's it. I mean, look, we're all singing their praises the day after a 6-0 win. A good performance as well. Some really good passages of play, but there's only 7-8 days for now. It could all change again, because it's fine to do it in a home game against Ross County and go out and demolish them, but we all know that these are the games where the players are judged on and the managers judged. It's the Old Firm games ultimately, and we'll see really what level these players are at when it comes to this big first Old Firm game next week, and I really hope that they carry on this momentum and don't disappoint. I'm expecting them to win. I'm not expecting them to win, but I expect them to, show up and actually be involved, because too many times last year we just ultimately get steamrolled, to be honest.
100%.
What about yourself? Do you feel like there's any clear positions that you want to strengthen?
I mean, I just want to see overall quality, to be honest. I'd love to see a centre-back, and I think that with Cortez out, and the thing about Cortez is as well, he's a good player, but we've never had the chance to see him over an extended period of time. And if he comes back for injury, and he stays fit, again, even though we've got Hefty there, he's out with his natural position. So I'd like to see more depth in the wide areas as well, because we've got McCausland there as well. But again, once Scott Wright leaves, if he leaves, hopefully he leaves, then again we're going to have to add to that depth as well, and it's going to have to be quality depth, because especially this season and previous seasons, the depth's just not been there in the bench.
I think that's the main thing for me. Rather than thinking about particular positions, it's just going to bring in
you just want to up the quality a wee bit.
A couple of players that are just ready to go and that are no projects, you know what I mean? And that are going to, alright, they're not going to come in the door and be in the starting 11 for the get-go, but if you're signing somebody new, you should be bringing someone in who is, ready to go into that starting 11 if Clement makes that decision to put them in ultimately. You don't want to bring in a player and give this that they need time to, get up to speed and this and that. They've not played at this level, or they're just young. That's fine. We've got a couple of the boys already, but if we're going to make signings now, we might as well sign to, strengthen the first team rather than have a couple of project players or development players under our wings, because ultimately we've got enough of them now.
100%. So what we want you to do is we want you to jump into the comments, let us know what you thought about today's game, let us know what you thought about our opinions on the game as well. Is there any positions within the starting 11 that you'd like to see strengthened? Also, the link to the BlueSea channel memberships is in the description. There's also a wee join button up there if you're on your desktop, and remember our socials are down in that description as well, so if you jump over there, give us a follow, that would be great, and we'll see you next time.